Not exactly how I planned on recording my next video, but hi guys. It's actually kind of dark in here. I'm actually sitting in my car outside of my home. Sorry that the last videos were so crazy and they ended up taking forever to upload. I don't know what was going on with my phone and my tablet, but it was kind of acting crazy. The crazy things that happened in Mecklenburg Avenue. Well, I remember this is the house that I lived in when I got my first and only drunk in public charge. I had told my mom that I was staying the night with a friend, and this friend had told her mom that she was staying the night with me. And really, we just had plans of our own. We were going to go party it up, since that's what 13 and 14-year-old kids did, I guess. There was actually a abandoned building in Victoria by the name of Swaggers. And we had planned on going and staying the night in the building, and we had everything planned. We had a radio, we had alcohol, we had pillows and blankets, and I left my house to meet her walking, and she left hers to meet me. And at the time, I was technically like dating her brother. We were, you know how that goes, little boyfriend girlfriend thing. So we had met up at Little Bees, which was a store in Victoria. It actually still is now. And we ran into a guy at the store, and her brother, this boyfriend of mine, decided to tell this guy what it was that we were doing. And he started telling other people. So then we kind of canceled our plans because we didn't want to get in trouble and get caught. So we decided that we were just not going to go to the building. And so the little boyfriend of mine, her brother, decided to just go hang out with these guys, and us girls were going to do our own thing. We had a friend that lived exactly across the street from her house, and so we went to his house because his parents were out of town, and we decided that we were going to drink, and we actually invited some people over, and we were playing spin the bottle, and whoever the bottle landed on, like, you just had to kiss them. Like, it didn't have to be like anything crazy. I mean, we were young kids. A peck on the cheek, a peck on the lips, and that was it. But we actually got a little too carried away in the drinking part. And I remember being outside on a hammock in someone's yard. I don't even know whose yard it was or where exactly I was at the time. I knew that I was close to the house that I was staying at, but I didn't know exactly where I was. I remember being brought back into the house, and I was upstairs, and I remember banging on the door and flashlights being in my face. Caught red-handed. It was a police officer shining the light in my face from the bottom of the steps, telling me to come down the steps. And me being young and dumb and stupid and drunk on top of that, I'm like yelling at the police officer, like, get the fucking flashlight out of my face, like I can't fucking see. He proceeds to shine this light in my face as he's coming up the steps, and I'm trying to go down the steps, and in the midst of it all, like, I'm cussing and hollering, and I'm like pushing him out of my way. And in handcuffs in a police car I went. He actually took me home, And my mom, I think, was more mad at the fact that I lied to her over anything. Um, so, like, she had no sympathy for me whatsoever. Like, I was really drunk and I just wanted to go to sleep. And she's like, no, you're not going to sleep. Like, that's not going to happen. You chose to go out and drink and get drunk, and now you think you're just going to come home and go to sleep. Well, no, not tonight. So, she made me stay up for a while. Um, I remember I threw up, I don't know how many times, and she's just like, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? And I don't, it was crazy. But the girl that I had made all these plans with ended up in the hospital because she had alcohol poisoning. I felt kind of bad, and, you know, um, our parents kept in touch, to keep up with what was going on with her. And she did end up coming through when she came home. And so, on a positive note, we were all okay, but we were grounded, like we were in big trouble. We couldn't talk to each other, um, except for at school. But we couldn't go to each other's houses. Like, um, but in the midst of all that happening, this swagger building, um, we actually did break into at some point in time. It was actually not too long after this alcohol incident. It was my brother and I, and this girl and her brother, and several others. We broke into this building, and I still say it even though I know that it's wrong. But I mean, the door was unlocked, so we just kind of opened it and went in. So we didn't really break into the building. But I remember those long fluorescent light bulbs, and we would like sword fight with them and shatter them everywhere. And all of the guys had like hockey pucks and stuff, and they would play hockey in there. And I remember flooding the bathrooms, and I also remember my dumbass took a fire extinguisher and I squirt the stuff onto the floor, and I touched it with my finger. And my finger was actually frozen for like 2 or 3 days. Like, I couldn't feel my finger, it was numb. I don't know why I did that, but we don't know why we do a lot of things when we're young and stupid. I'm not really going to say stupid. I just think it was like some um, bad influences and not enough home training. Um, but someone told on us. So we all had to go to court. And we ended up having to go to court for the swagger incident the same exact day that I had to appear in court for drunk in public. Um, and so I was scared. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. Um, we actually all had to do community service. The girl and I actually had to do more than anyone else because of the drunk in public. So I remember having to stay after school and empty trash cans and pick up all the chairs in the library and put them on the tables, and we had to vacuum and we had to sweep and dust, and it was not fun at all. Like, and with a majority of us that had gotten in trouble together, we were all doing community service at the school. So on the plus side, we still all got to hang out and talk to each other and communicate and joke around and have fun, bypassing each other in the hallway as we're taking trash out to the dumpsters. So we always found some type of fun way to make the best out of the worst situation. Um, we were crazy. um, I remember that we used to steal my mom's and her boyfriend's cigarettes all the time. Um, I actually would wait for them to go to sleep, and I would like run downstairs and take a couple out of each one of their packs, and I'd run back upstairs and I'd close my door, and me and my brother would crack the window and we'd smoke them. And I I had a shoebox with sand in it, and sometimes I would put my cigarettes out in the shoebox. Um, One day while we were at school, my shoebox got found, and my mom's boyfriend and my mom automatically assumed that it was my brother's and that he was the older one, so therefore he was the one smoking. Um, but I didn't even say that they were mine. Like, I just blamed it on him, which was bad. It was a really bad situation, because with me blaming it on him and them already thinking that it was his, he proceeded to tell them that it was not his, that it was mine, and they called him a liar. And were basically saying that he was just trying to get himself out of trouble. And my mom's boyfriend and my brother actually got physical. It all happened so fast, but I remember the table being like pushed over and chairs, and then there was a shelf in our kitchen, and the shelf ended up getting broke. And like, my brother's yelling, he's choking me, and my mom's boyfriend's yelling like he won't let me go, just tell him to let me go. There was blood. It was crazy. Like, I called 911. And it was all my fault, because it was mine. If I would have just said it was mine, then none of it would have happened. But all things happen for a reason, right? So the police get there, and my brother has scratches and stuff on his back, and my mom's boyfriend actually, like, his whole nose was fucked up. Like, my brother had broke his nose, and like, it was blood everywhere, and all of this happened with my little brother and sister in the house, and it was so crazy. So, like, they took my mom's boyfriend away in handcuffs. And my mom was very upset. She was mad about the whole situation. But he had to stay away for a little while. But he came back. He always did. But it brought me back to the situation with him and my sister. Like, you threatened to cut my sister's throat, and now you have physically fought my brother. And for some reason, my mother was okay with all of this, and I don't know why, but she was. It wasn't long after that, my mom's boyfriend like tried to change his ways, and he started going to church, and he would make us go with him every Wednesday night and every Sunday. And I really wasn't a church person. I mean, that didn't mean I didn't believe in God. I just didn't like to sit in church and listen to someone read out of the Bible. To me, it was just boring. And the Sunday school class was probably the funnest out of all. But he still made us go all the time. There wasn't as much fighting at that time frame that he was doing his whole church thing than it normally was. I remember that I got in a fight at school. There was a guy in my shop class, and he was an asshole, like, all the time. It didn't matter what you were doing, how you were doing it, he was just an asshole. So one day he decided that he was going to talk about my mom, and he didn't even know my mom, but I guess us being young kids, we like to argue and fight and cause attention to ourselves from others. So he said something about my mom being a bitch, and I said something back to him, and this dude like just smacked the shit out of me, like right across my face. And I was kind of like shocked at the moment. And the only thing that I knew to do at that time was I have to whoop his ass. So I picked up this metal bar stool that was in the shop class, and I just started hitting him with it. Um, and they ended up taking us to the office and everything. And I remember the nurse was actually laughing at me because she's like, you're fine. You don't have any marks on you or anything, but you should see his ear. Like, his ear was bleeding pretty bad, and um, like when she first seen it, she thought that like his ear was gonna fall off, and so she called me Mike Tyson, and it was kind of funny because like she referred to me the whole rest of the school year as Mike Tyson. Like that's what she called me in the hallway, or if she seen me in public or anywhere, I was Mike Tyson. But his ear didn't fall off, so technically I'm not Mike Tyson. But anyways, I got in trouble because I got suspended from school, and I don't really think I got grounded, but so bad for that. I just think like the whole 3 days I had OSS, I couldn't talk on the phone to anybody at school. I just had to do my schoolwork and hang out with the babies. I was sure glad when I did get to go back to school, though, because my life wasn't so boring. As much as we all hated school at a young age, we would much rather be at school than at home with no friends and nothing to do. Sorry, my light went out, but I fixed it. I remember while living in this house, my grandmother had passed away, and that really took a toll on my brother because they were so close, and she would send him money all the time, and she is actually the one who paid our fines off from breaking into this swagger building. Bless her heart. So my brother took it very, very hard, actually, to have the people that he was closest to in his life, my dad and my granny, he didn't have neither one now. And so I felt bad for him because every son needs a father as a role model, and to be the first grandchild of the bunch, my granny showed favoritism to him. And like she was his number one. And so now she's gone, and it wasn't good. She ended up having a heart attack in her own home, and my cousin was living with her at the time, and she witnessed the whole thing. And I feel that to a certain extent, like she kind of blames herself for what happened because she wasn't listening to my grandma, and they had like an argument, and my granny would play all the time and say that we were giving her a heart attack, or she was having one. And when we would stay at her house and stuff and we would be acting all crazy, she would come up the steps and like beat our asses with like a baton, or she'd throw the telephone at us from the wall. And like while she's hitting us and throwing these things at us, like she would laugh the whole time. And when we would laugh, she would just like get this evil laugh, like it wasn't even a funny laugh anymore. But I mean, we had some great times with her. I remember my cousin always cooking eggs in the kitchen, and she would always take the white part out of the egg because she automatically assumed it was a baby chicken. This is the same granny that neglected my cheeseburgers at McDonald's in Bedford when she made me eat those nasty cheeseburgers, and I just wanted ketchup on my cheeseburger, damn it. But same granny. Um, she would take us to CC's Pizza on Mondays, and not CC's, Little Caesars. And we would all get our own pizza, so I was thankful for that. Um, but she was a good woman. I don't really think I can say anything bad about her at all. She was funny, she was crazy, but she was caring, she was nice, she was loving, and um, she just tried to, make us kids happy, even though she favored my brother and my cousin more than she did us other ones. Um, she was still a good woman. So with her passing, like my brother took it hard and my cousin took it hard, but I don't know if I've ever told either of them this, but I'm going to tell them now. And I hope they watch this. For my brother, you know, the relationship that y'all two had together, and no one else could ever take that away from you. She had her reasons for doing the things that she did when it came to you. And that's all that mattered. She loves you and you loved her, and we all know that. And I know deep down inside that, you lost a big part of your heart that day. And if I wasn't there to support you like I should have been, emotionally and physically, I'm sorry. But I'm here now, and that's not going to change. For my cousin, and I'm going to go ahead and say her name because I don't really think she cares. Melissa, it's not your fault. We all argue with our grandparents, our parents, our teachers, our friends, our aunts, our uncles, our cousins. We all argue. But just because something bad happens to someone in the midst of an argument does not make it your fault. And I know to a certain extent you blame yourself. But I think about Granny when you say that, and I can see that grin on her face, holding that telephone like, if you don't stop saying that, like, I'm going to hit you with this. Or she's got that baton waiting to just smack you with it one good time because she doesn't want you to think or believe the things that you're thinking and believing at the time. So, all things happen for a reason. We may not ever know that reason or why exactly it happens. But God knows the reasons, and that's all that matters. But it's not your fault. And I don't know if anyone's ever told you that, but I'm telling you now, it's not your fault. Don't blame yourself for something you had no control over. She was getting old. It was her time. And when it's your time to go, God's going to call you home and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I just wanted to vent and let you guys know that. But anyways, we ended up going to her funeral and doing everything that we were supposed to do as a family. And it was a hard day. It was harder for some than others, but we got through it. And it was rough because my brother didn't have that supportive income anymore, and he depended on that, and we kind of did too, because he helped us out a lot with that money, whether it was school clothes or school supplies or food or whatever it was, you know, her money was being put to good use. But it just gets crazier. Like, um, I really, really hope that you guys don't think that I am shooting these videos for any type of attention, because that is definitely not the reason at all. The moral of my whole life story basically is to let people know that even through all the bad times and all the negative situations, you can always make the good and the positive out of it in the end. Stay tuned. There's more to come. It's not over yet. I'm still a teenager, okay? So, we still got about 12 years to go. So, subscribe to my page. Make sure you watch the videos from the introduction all the way up until now. I don't want you to get lost. If you guys have any questions from what I've said so far, please feel free to ask me. I will answer them honestly. But until next time, thanks for watching.